Well, as you know, the main event this week is Wimbledon, the iconic, the best tennis tournament in the world. We had to pick up Kevin Curren for a ride in the Super SaturTaxi. But Kevin, welcome, first of all. Where are you taking us?
Thank you, Neil. I'm going to take you to a special spot not too far from my home where I spent many hours practicing.
Well, there you go. It must have been many hours that Kevin was practicing. It's Super SaturTaxi time. Let's take him on the road in the taxi. Well, it's a great pleasure to have Kevin Curren in the Super SaturTaxi. Now, obviously, it's the Wimbledon finals this weekend, and I guess it brings back memories for you, not only your own final, but just the experience. I mean, you went to Wimbledon multiple years, never missed one.
For a long time, it was special years, etched in my memory, Neil. 14 years. I started in 1980, and 1993 was my last Wimbledon, but then went back and played a number of times in the senior events.
With Johan Creek, another famous South African.
One of the South African greats, all-time greats, and we were very successful in the senior doubles. We ended up winning 4 titles and lost in the 5th year in the finals, so it was nice to hook up with the old partner and to dominate for a while there.
Wonderful. I've got in front of me, and I'm going to share it because I actually can't believe this, because you showed it to me a little bit earlier, but I'm going to open it up because this might look like a piece of ancient history, but you told me you actually played. I'm not passing to you so you can actually show us. You actually played with this up until well, in terms of your own career, very recent.
Absolutely. In fact, 1984 was my last major championship, was the Australian Open, and I got to the finals. I ended up beating...
With this racket?
With this racket, ended up beating Yvonne Lendl, one of the true classics, but really small sweet spot, and wooden frame, so not as much power, and then the old classic the grip, and this one was customized for my grip, which I used to put together, but leather, a real classic wooden racket, and McEnroe played with that racket.
Let's get back to Wimbledon, because it is iconic, and not just because maybe I've got a soft spot for British tennis, but it is the one tournament that everybody wants to win because of the history of the game. Is that a fair comment?
Absolutely. It's the grass, the tradition, that it's unique. There's nothing else like it in the major championships. And Andre Agassi was a good example where he had won other majors and very successful, #1 in the world, but he couldn't really do that well at Wimbledon. And he decided to go and spend time like Yvonne Lendl and work on his game because he had more of a baseline-based game. And ultimately ended up winning the championships. And every player will tell you that that is the tournament if you're going to win it. So for me, growing up in Durban as a little boy and playing all the under 10s and 12s and 14s, it was merely a dream to play the Pro Tour and then to ultimately get to the finals of Wimbledon. That was sort of the pinnacle.
Jose's bought some tissues because I have to ask you about the Wimbledon wear, and I'm going to quote John McEnroe. John sent a message and he told you, you should have won that Wimbledon. When
I saw my draw, I said, oh, this is a tough draw. I ended up with playing Edberg in the round of 16 and beat him in straight sets. Then I played McEnroe in the quarterfinals and I gave him a good hiding. He said, you were too good on the day, but he said, please, I want you to go out and beat Connors. So I went out and I killed Connors, 6-2, 6-2, 6-1, big drubbing. So now I'm up against a youngster, 17-year-old, and I'm starting to think, and I played very aggressively to get to the finals, didn't drop a set against 3 of the greatest grass quarters of all time. And I had gone and almost gone for broke against them, and with no fear. And now I adopted a more defensive mode, thinking I'm playing a 17-year-old who I'd practiced with in March. So Wimbledon's in July. I practiced with him in March and he was very erratic. So I made the assumption that the pressure, 17-year-old, if I just played within myself and conservatively, he would implode over a period of the 5-set match. And he came out and he played like he was going to have 1,000 chances if it didn't work that day. And then I remember seeing McEnroe after the tournament on the US hard courts, and he said to me, I cannot believe you lost Wimbledon. It's impossible the way you were playing. Yes. I said to him, Mac, he's a lot better. Becker is a lot better than you think.
And that was proven, obviously, multiple times over.
So they ended up playing, 2 weeks after we saw each other, and he ended up beating him on hard courts, 7-6 in the third. And he came to me after the match, he said, I see what you mean, the kid can play.
Well, Kevin, let's move away from tennis because, I'm sure that our viewers are saying, well, surely he's not playing tennis at the moment. But one of the products and one of the brands that you're involved with, and of course we see a lot of it, and the success of it, is the SuperSport Shootout. Tell us a little bit about your experience with the SuperSport Shootout and the success of it.
Yeah, I've had a wonderful relationship with SuperSport dating back 18 years when we owned Champagne Sports Resort. I came up with the concept of bringing sportsmen, businessmen together to play in an event, to see everybody was bragging, all the sportsmen, how good they were, Nas and all these different players. Sean Pollock was saying, Jacques Callis. We managed to get them all together, and it was actually just to promote the resort. It was never intended to be a standalone business. And here we are 18 years later, and it's really grown into a good commercial model and a great experience. We created not just a golf event, but a lifestyle experience, and become a very sought after invitation. And this year we're off to Fancourt, which is one of the premier resorts in South Africa.
Absolutely, can't wait for that. That's going to be truly exciting. Jose, left up here, by the way, to get to the Umhlanga tennis court. Well, I can't believe it. We were supposed to be at the Umhlanga Tennis Club, but Kevin's brought me to the metropolis of Umhlanga because there's no tennis club here. It's at Radisson.
Well, can you believe it? The 1970s, there used to be a magnificent tennis club here, the Umhlanga Tennis Club, and I spent many, many hours preparing here. So lovely memories, but times have moved on, and I guess it gives away my age.